Jonathan Horowitz is here. He's the horse racing insider, and he is presented by the Celtic Tavern, where you can bet daily on off-track horse and dog racing, watch live, bet daily, sip from a selection of 350 whiskeys. 350 whiskeys. It's just 2 blocks west of Cruisefield on Blake. It's the Celtic Tavern. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi, nice to join you.
Good to see you again. And you got the idea, you got the memo about we wear socks. He doesn't get it. He wears gray socks every day.
That's quite the combo right there.
Yeah.
Well, I started traveling a lot to announce, and when you go through security at the airport, they make you take your shoes off. So I decided just to mess around and see if I could get people's attention.
Well, you did with me.
Yeah. Loafers. Loafers are, there are a lot of solutions to dealing with the issues. I bought a clear card. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, sure, to go through quickly.
Yeah. That's one of the best bargains in the whole world. If people can, because you either sign up with the TSA and you're a known entity or known traveler. So that's advice.
Oh, I'm all right, but the pizza smells better in person than it does when I'm joining you on Skype. So.
And he's going to, he did a reveal. What, is it a cookie today or brownies?
It's cookie.
He likes the brownies better.
Cookie.
Oh, you didn't offer a cookie.
You can have a cookie.
Sure.
Okay, I'll get one after.
All right.
Jonathan Horowitz is the track announcer at Arapahoe Park, but you do, and you mentioned it, you announce at other tracks around the country.
I do. I'm currently announcing in Phoenix at Turf Paradise, filling in for the rest of the season. So I came up to Denver for a couple of days to join you and also to plan for our new TV shows at Arapahoe Park. And the season's now less than a month away, so we're getting into it. The horses are on the ground.
How did you get into this?
I got into announcing from going to the racetrack with my family, and I'm from Southern California, so my first trip to the horse races was at Santa Anita. And when you go to a baseball game, the public address announcer just introduces who the batter is, or maybe gives you a recap at the end of the inning, or gives the promotional announcements. But when the game is happening, there's no commentary when the pitch is made or when the ball's in play. That's done for television or radio. But for a horse race, when you're at the track, the announcer's describing what happens over the public address system. And that caught my attention. And I like the idea of being the one to tell people what happens and get them excited. And so much happens in a horse race in a short amount of time.
And it's very difficult for the casual track-sider to actually keep up with the horses, unless they're really familiar with all the colors coming by and maybe the numbers in their program, but they really don't know the names. They don't know what's going on because you can't see the shuffling on the backside, or and so I think it's more helpful than any other sport in regard to person who's at the event, because they know exactly what's going on.
Oh, absolutely, and you can't rehearse what you're going to say ahead of time like an actor, an actress. The race happens, and you just have to hope that you can pick the horses out and describe it and add a little bit of style as well.
Jonathan, we've got the Kentucky Derby coming up first weekend in May.
That's why I said I was excited for the next 2 weeks when we were going to talk to him.
One of the horses that was supposed to be entered will not be there. One Lucky Dane. Fractured a leg, I believe. Would One Lucky Dane have been a favorite for the race?
He would have been a competitor. I mean, the truth is with the Kentucky Derby, when you have 20 horses coming together who are still very young, still maturing, doing something they've never done before, 1.25 miles in front of more than 100,000 people, it's really hard to come up with one major favorite, especially when they're coming from so many different prep races around the country. So he definitely would have been a competitor. I would say that the favorite going into the race, trainer Bob Baffert, who's won the Kentucky Derby a few times, he has a very strong pair. He has American Pharaoh, who hasn't been tested yet, has this tremendous acceleration that he used to win the Arkansas Derby a couple of weeks ago.
And then you know I love the Arkansas Derby.
Oh, that atmosphere down in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and I think they had like 60,000 people there that day. And so actually that's kind of a good stage for a Kentucky Derby horse to go through. And then Bob Baffert's other horse is Dortmund, named for the soccer team, because the owner, Kaleem Shah, he also owns a horse named Bayern, who won the Breeders' Cup Classic last year. And Dortmund's a huge horse who really hasn't hit his peak yet. He just wins on hard, and he's got this tremendously long stride. So American Pharaoh is his polished horse. Dortmund is the horse with a lot of potential. But then you're going to have 18 others in there, and the race has to set up as you want it to, because even if you have the best horse, you may not even have the chance to win the race if there's traffic trouble.
Well, they're like you, though. Aren't both those horses like you? They're from California?
That's right. Yeah, all good things come out of Southern California.
I have a question for you. Calvin Burrell, who's won the Derby 3 times now as a jockey, had trouble finding a ride. Why does a guy, but he finally found one, why does a guy who's won 3 Derbies, who's proven, has thousands of wins on his resume, why does it take so long for him to find a ride for the Derby? How do they pair the jockey with the horse?
The preparations for the Kentucky Derby, they're starting a year in advance, and I mean, it's every owner's dream that they're going to have the horse that's going to win the Kentucky Derby. And the jockeys do the same thing. They look around and they say, oh, that 2-year-old there, he's starting racing. Let me, get on him and see if we can develop into a Derby horse. And so once a horse starts out with a certain jockey, they sort of stick with them because it's sort of a team and you're building towards something big. And there are some years, even when a Hall of Fame jockey like Gary Stevens, one of the best of all time, he doesn't have a Derby horse a month before the race because, like you brought up with One Lucky Day, something goes awry. Winning the Kentucky Derby, it's so much that goes into it pretty much a year in advance. But on the other hand, if you're a owner who you have a jockey and he's ridden a couple of Derby horses and he decides to go with this one, having a jockey like Calvin Burrell, saying, oh, we lost our jockey because he picked Dortmund, but Calvin Burrell's available, that's a pretty good pickup. And Calvin Burrell's been so good in the Derby because he's fearless, and with 20 horses, he's got no problem going to the rail, knowing that there may be traffic trouble, and if he gets an opening about that much, he's sending his horse through. It's quite amazing to see what he's done, and what all the jockeys do. I mean, really, pound for pound, they're just phenomenal athletes.
But what we want to do next week, and you're going to join us again next week, aren't you, leading up to the Derby, is I want to give you my 3 picks. I want you to do this. A surprise pick, a long shot that has a chance, and talk a little bit about the Derby atmosphere. I've been there 25 times. I assume you've been there before, haven't you?
No, I haven't in person. I did once announce the Derby at a bar in Philadelphia because they heard I was an announcer. They muted the volume. That's as close as I've gotten to the Derby is announcing at a bar in Philadelphia.
You need to do that. You got to put that on your. Have you ever been?
I've never been to the Derby. It's one of the
really
big
got it.
sporting events
That's one of my
been to,
4 or 5 favorite sports events in the world.
All right, so let's go this year.
Yeah. So,
Jonathan, appreciate you coming by.
Thank you.
Jonathan Horowitz, he's the horse racing insider and brought to you by the Celtic Tavern. Thanks, man.
Thanks a lot.
If you want a piece of pizza to go,
a cookie.
Grab the cookie.
Where's the cookie? And a cookie.
Grab it.
Oh, yeah.
It's right in there.
Is the cookie here?
Because the assets.
Take the whole box.
Take the whole box?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Well, no, I didn't finish my sentence. Take the whole box over there, take 1 cookie, and then leave for the rest of the staff.
Oh, I'm going to be Denver's most popular announcer. Thank you.
Jonathan.